I am so sick of people enabling Donald Trump with their cowardice. And I'm not just talking about people in this country, although there are a lot. I just did a video about Chuck Schumer completely caving, as we knew he would. But I'm talking in this video specifically about a foreign leader, the Secretary General of NATO. I want to play you a clip from yesterday of Donald Trump and this guy, Mark Rutte, this Secretary General of NATO. And Donald Trump gets asked a question about annexing Greenland. And it really pisses me off even using the word annexing. How about taking by force? Because that's what we're talking about. Denmark is not giving us Greenland. They've said a million times it's not for sale. So if we're going to take Greenland, then we're going to take it by force. We're going to go to war with a NATO ally to take territory that we have no rightful claim to. That's what we're talking about. I don't like this innocuous sounding word, annexation. Anyway, he's asked a question about annexing Greenland, and sitting right next to the Secretary General of NATO, and again, Denmark, who owns NATO. Greenland is excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Greenland is a territory of Denmark, and Denmark is one of our NATO allies. So here is the Secretary General of NATO sitting right next to Donald Trump when he starts talking about taking Greenland from Denmark, and this Mark Rutte fucking coward just sits there not saying a damn thing while Donald Trump is talking about taking territory from a NATO ally. And then he just kind of says, "Oh well, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get NATO involved in this, this skirmish between Donald Trump and Denmark over Greenland." And then he proceeds to kiss Donald Trump's ass. It's sickening. And this cowardice is emboldening this criminal piece of shit Donald Trump to do this kind of stuff. So let me play this before I pop a friggin' blood vessel. Let me do this. Here we go. Watch this.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential?
Yeah. Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
And there's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did, so when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure. And we know.
All right, fuck this guy. I can't take this anymore. Sorry, get out of there. So here we have Donald Trump, who is literally threatening countries around the world with military force if they do not give us their territory. Greenland, a NATO ally. He's not going against enemies. He's not threatening to take back territory to which we somehow have a rightful claim. He is threatening a NATO ally with war if they do not give us their territory. And to see the Secretary General of the NATO alliance, of which both the United States and Denmark are members, and to just sit there and laugh it off like it's no big deal. I do not want to get involved with that. Oh, let me kiss Trump's ass over here. Are you freaking kidding me? There is no bigger threat to the world right now than Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. The two of them, who I believe are working in tandem in all of this, including in crashing the American economy. This all benefits Vladimir Putin. And to see this Secretary General sit next to Donald Trump while he threatens a NATO ally to take the... I mean, he could do this to any country. And by the way, I've heard J.D. Vance say this a bunch of times. You know, Donald Trump just says this crap. J.D. Vance goes into more specific details about why we should take Greenland from Denmark. And he says things like, it's for national security, it's strategically important, its location is strategically important. I've heard him say, they have natural resources that we could benefit from, and all this stuff. You know what? You could say that about a lot of countries in this world, that they have a strategically important location, or that they have a lot of natural resources. So, is that the justification? So the United States can go to war for the specific purpose of taking territory of other countries just because we think that they are in an important strategic location, or that they have natural resources from which we can benefit, so therefore we're just going to start going to war with countries around the world and taking their territory? And the Secretary General of NATO, which exists for the express purpose of containing Russian aggression against its territorial expansion in Europe, to keep Russia in a box. Here he has a member nation of his own alliance that he oversees, threatening territorial expansion, threatening warfare on other countries around the world, including a member nation of NATO. My God, it's not just the cowards in this country, it's cowards around the world. And one more thing about this Mark Rutte piece of shit. When Donald Trump treated Vladimir Zelensky like shit in the Oval Office a couple weeks ago, this Mark Rutte guy, he came out immediately and said that Volodymyr Zelensky needs to go repair the damage with Donald Trump. He didn't blame Zelensky for it, but he says it's up to Zelensky now to go crawling back to Trump, essentially to kiss his ass and make things better. Fuck this guy. And fuck every one of these cowards who are enabling this piece of shit. Alright? Sorry for all the cursing. I am really pissed off today. Let me say one final thing before I go. This is not the time for cowardice. This is the time for leaders around the world to stand up to Donald Trump. And not just Donald Trump, but Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. This is the time for people to wake the hell up and realize these two are working together. And here you have the Secretary General of NATO, an organization established to defend against Russian aggression, now has a member nation, the United States, working with Russia to, among other things, destroy NATO. And you have the Secretary General of NATO sitting next to this guy and laughing with him, kissing his ass, ignoring his threats of war against another NATO member nation. We had countries in Europe seek to placate a rising dictator in the past, and it led to a second world war. People need to wake the hell up, or we're going to find ourselves in a third world war. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.